Hello, my name is B-Town and I make videos about games I love. And right now I am totally addicted to Marvel Rivals. It's such a good game. Today we're going to be ranking every hero from worst to best, and we're going to get started right away with the bottom tier heroes, which I'm calling the Throw-Vengers. Holding down the bottom of the list, the worst hero in Marvel Rivals is...
Mind the exploding plasma!
She's not just bad, she's boring. Her kit is really basic, and she's a sniper that can't even one-shot headshot. I don't know why you would ever pick her. Just pick Hawkeye instead.
Feel the wrath of the goddess!
Oh, this one actually kind of hurts because Storm is such a legendary character. She's iconic, and they do her so dirty in this game. The concept around her kit makes total sense. She's buffing her teammates. I mean, she's kind of passive. It would actually be weird if a legendary diplomat was out there going on like a penta kill streak constantly, but the tuning on all of that stuff just doesn't make sense. There's really no reason to pick Storm at all. And there isn't much harmony in her kit. She has the power of flight, but it makes the circle on the ground in which you're buffing your teammates get smaller and smaller. Hawkeyes and Punishers and Winter Soldiers out there who are just going to keep braining you. I mean, Luna can pluck you out of the sky. So there's currently no point in picking Storm. They did announce that they're going to be buffing her, and I look forward to seeing how she develops. She could also be a really annoying character if she was too strong, so I feel like the developers have their work cut out balancing Storm, but I look forward to future iterations and seeing her as a more impactful member of the team. But that's it for this tier. We're going to be moving on now because most of the characters in this game are actually pretty good. If not good, they're at least fun. So let's bump it up a notch to the Guardians of Mediocrity. Oh, Wanda. She's so much fun to play, and I totally get why people continue to choose her, but she's just hard capped. Her primary attack locks on and requires zero mechanical skill. She can do damage consistently, but not quickly, and for the most part, most heroes in the game can just kind of melt Wanda before she has a chance to kill them. Her ultimate is really interesting because it's a high-risk, high-reward bomb that could completely clear a point, but you're incredibly vulnerable while you're charging up the attack, so most players, when they hear like pure chaos, they end up just melting you down. Her stun is pretty good. I mean, most of the elements of her kit are pretty effective. I think my major beef with Wanda is just how slow she is. Every attack has this kind of like wind-up time where there's animation frames that just make her feel kind of clunky to play.
The dragon unleashed!
Iron Fist is bait because he's so fun to play, yet he is so completely pointless. You really want to get into the back line and start punching Luna Snow and Mantis, but it so rarely works out in your favor. Most of the time, you're just going to get nuked down. You're kind of squishy despite being able to kind of fortify yourself and heal yourself. Iron Fist is all style, no substance, and I audibly groan every time I see one of our DPS players pick him.
Assemble!
Cap is kind of ridiculous, man. Like, he's like unkillable. When you play Cap, you can just like run around the enemy team, punching them and shield bashing them, but getting no kills whatsoever. He infuses a lot of chaos into the game, and he can really bully the enemy team, but he's just not going to get many eliminations. I guess he technically fulfills his role as a tank, but the problem is he's kind of off doing his own thing the whole time and never really with the team. If you're playing support, he's almost unhealable because he's always in the back line just booping people. There's really only one reason to pick Captain America.
That is America's ass.
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
I'm gonna say it, if you pick Spider-Man in comp, you are throwing. He's an incredible character. I love Spider-Man in this game. Swinging around the battlefield makes you feel like Peter Parker. It's incredible. I love the design philosophy. I love the thrill that it brings. He is just bad. That's the problem. And not only is he bad, he's bad with a high skill ceiling. You have to put in a ton of effort to learn this character to be mildly effective. Spider-Man has to dive in unseen and then hit a Tekken combo in the back line just to get one kill. Meanwhile, Hela could just click your head and you're dead. He is so much effort for such minimal reward, but I do love that he's in the game. I love that there's a really high skill ceiling character that people can put a ton of time into, and it's super stylish and he looks really cool. It's amazing what people can do on Spider-Man, and I love watching clips on TikTok, but holy shit, I kind of die on the inside when I see one on my team.
Behold the God of Thunder!
I am super not scared of Thor. Like, I don't care. Every time he shows up on the enemy team, I do not take him seriously at all. People say he's great, and I've seen Thor players put up huge numbers, but I'm just not afraid. He doesn't bother me. Smack me with a hammer all day long. It's okay. His ult is also pretty weak and avoidable. I don't know. I don't think he adds a lot. Like, when I see a Thor barreling down on me across the hallway, I kind of don't care. I'm like, all right, cool, bring it on.
Behold, Dark Child!
I love how magic can just kind of pierce directly into the backline, just portal directly to your healers and start messing them up. She's got an interesting kit as well that kind of focuses on large AoE damage as well as kind of singling out targets, tossing them up in the air, sword slashing them. She's super interesting, and there was a moment a few weeks ago where people suddenly kind of discovered magic and she was in every game, but now everyone knows how to deal with her. She portals in, everyone focuses her down, and then we just kind of move on with our day. I just think all of her power moves are just very, very well telegraphed and they're easy to deal with. I'm sure there are people out there who are crushing lobbies with magic. She's got a lot of potential.
We are Venom!
I'm a Venom hater. I think he's low tier. He's just not good. He makes a lot of noise and he's a very visible character, but like how many Venoms out there are actually crushing it? Your best case scenario as a Venom is to dive into the back line, have everyone focus their fire on you, you get one kill and swoop away. Not that that isn't useful, you're just not much of a threat for how big of a target you are. There are also characters like Penny that just hard shut down dive in general, and Venom just gets victimized when she's on the enemy team. Hulk's gonna smash him, Thor's gonna smash him, there's a ton of heroes that are just gonna fucking nuke him down. You dive into the back line and get slept by Mantis or frozen by Luna. He's just not that good. For some reason, I ended up playing a ton of Venom over the course of making this video. I just could not let it go. I wanted him to be good so bad, but it just didn't happen. His potential's pretty hard capped. But a lot of the heroes in this mediocre section are also pretty situational as well. If the enemy team is really squishy, Venom has the opportunity to do some significant damage. He can dive in and get a couple kills. Same with Magic, same with Thor. There are team comps and situations where these characters definitely make sense. Even if they're not like overall really good, they could be a great niche pick for a specific situation. Moving on to our next tier, this batch of characters are the Agents of A.W.E.S.O.M.E. I love Jefferson. He's cute. He's adorable. He's just my sweet baby Jeff. I love him so much. He does great heals, a modest amount of damage, and he has an ultimate that is going to haunt my nightmares for the rest of my life. He's also super slippery and really, really tough to kill. Jeff is really a fantastic character for beginner players. I love that he exists. The problem is he just doesn't bring much utility. He doesn't have a buff. He doesn't have a CC. What else do you want from a land shark? He's adorable. Come on, cut him a break. Jeff's out here working hard like the rest of us. And we've all seen heroic Jeff moments or crushing Jeff defeats where he swallows your team at the last second to get you all off the point. Strategist is such a competitive role with some really fantastic characters in this game that sweet baby Jefferson doesn't get a ton of love. He's probably the weakest of the group, but he's still awesome. Scroll Girl is pretty rad. Shout out to all of you Junkrat mains from Overwatch. There are definitely situations where Scroll Girl is actually a really, really strong pick. If the enemy team is bunched up, dropping a volley of nuts into the middle of them to get them to disperse and to cause damage and keep their healers working overtime, she's pretty good. Her stun is actually very effective and very spammable, so that's also awesome. And she's got that squirrely jump that makes her a hard target to hit. There are two main issues that keep Scroll Girl kind of locked here in the middle of the pack. One is that her ultimate is actual trash. The Scroll Stampede is fucking worthless. It's so inconsistent, it bounces around wildly, and even when you hit, it kind of doesn't matter. Also, and it's kind of a skill diff, you gotta play a lot to be able to 1v1 with Scroll Girl effectively. There's so many characters that can get up in her face and just nuke her down. In a weird way, she's almost like a DPS version of support where she's going to be lobbing in a lot of damage and causing a lot of disbursement, but maybe not putting up the highest score on the team.
I am Groot!
Groot is incredibly strong, and I actually fucking hate him. Friendly Groots are constantly walling me off and blocking my line of sight, keeping me from actually hitting the enemies. It's more of a delay tactic than anything else. But he's undeniably strong, and a good Groot can completely win the game for you. His ultimate is fantastic. It's kind of like Zarya. It's a wonderful combo starter where you pull everyone together and then your team can just kind of beat them up. A good Groot will completely dictate the flow of the game. And his team ups are really fun too. And watching, Rocket ride on his shoulder or Jeff ride on his shoulder is awesome. It's super duper fun. More often than not though, I end up just really mad at our friendly Groot for doing something stupid. I just feel like they're working for the enemies, like they're double agents and shit.
Tremble before Bast!
This character is so good, but I am so trash with him. I need to put in a ton of practice to get good at Black Panther. I do love his kit. He's incredibly impressive when he starts zipping around through your team, just slicing everybody. Oh my God, it's terrifying. Going up against a fantastic Black Panther is basically a horror movie. The skill ceiling is really, really high on this character, so your average Black Panther is probably not going to be good, but once you kind of reach that threshold where you truly understand the kit, the timing, and the cooldowns, oh boy, you are a problem. This guy can engage your entire team simultaneously. He's probably a high A tier, but because it's my list and I'm kind of trash with him, I'm going to put him down here. And then hopefully in a couple months, I'll be able to say that I'm a great Black Panther and I'll bump him up the list.
Hulk smash!
Is Hulk good? Like, is he good? Like, I am terrible with Hulk. Like, absolutely awful. But then I see streamers playing Hulk constantly. But I don't like Hulk. I only put him here because I see other people play well with him. I rarely ever see a Hulk going nuts on the enemy team, but then I see clips and he's just like this top tier character. He's definitely a character that is more impactful when you're playing together with your team, buffing them, giving them shields. But a Hulk on the back line or a Hulk that's flanking is basically banner bait. You're going to get him down to the baby diva form really, really quickly. The big clear advantage you have with Hulk is his team up with Iron Man, empowering him to do even more damage from above. But if we're talking just like traditional tank role, I'm just not a believer. I am not a Hulk enthusiast.
It's spider time!
I like Penny. She's probably my favorite tank personally, but because she's so defensive, it's hard to rank her much higher. The mines are awesome. Her ability to heal herself is great for a solo player. She's by far the best solo tank. You really don't need to consider your team at all. You can just set up your matrix and be a defensive powerhouse. Her kit is really solid, but generally not overpowered. The only part of her kit that's really annoying is her net. Oh my God, it is so satisfying when you catch somebody in that net. Netting someone just as they're charging up an ult, that is what gaming is all about. Penny struggles to take a point, but once you have it locked down, she makes it virtually impossible for the enemy team to take it. She hard counters dive characters with ease, like casually. She just throws down a bunch of mines and then nobody can get near the point. She brings a ton of utility to your team, and I personally love playing her. But even on her best day, Penny is a secondary tank. Like, she's a luxury tank. If you really need to get into the battle, Penny's not your choice. But once you've tipped the tides in your favor, Penny is a fantastic choice to kind of lock down the area and ensure that the enemy team can't wrestle the victory away from you.
Your powers are mine!
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of slept on Loki in the beginning. I thought he was just kind of a gimmick, but holy shit, he is so much fun to play. If your team's doing the classic kind of wrecking ball where everybody stands together, he is so impactful because he can mass heal everybody. Loki can out heal and just nullify a bunch of ultimates in the game, which is fantastic. He's confusing and annoying, but the really big deal is his ability to steal any ultimate in the game. You can have back-to-back Luna ults, back-to-back Mantis ults. You can even steal a Wanda ult and totally whiff. Loki's fun regardless of your skill level, but I do think he's a character who gets stronger and stronger the more you play the game. The better you understand every ultimate in the game, the more effective you're going to be as Loki. Picking the right ultimate at the exact right time will actually win the game for your team, full stop. But that takes a lot of practice and a lot of familiarity. As the game kind of goes on and on, I think we're going to see more and more fantastic Loki plays, and Loki's going to be a stronger member of the team overall.
Berserker Rage!
When the game first came out, everybody thought Wolverine was straight trash. Now people kind of rank him really high, like he's an S tier hero. The one thing he really does well, he could dive in, kidnap a tank, and absolutely slice them to bits. Like, that's super useful. I think he's kind of a difficult character to pilot. You never really feel like you have the advantage in any situation, really, except when you're kidnapping a hero and bringing them back to your team. Then you kind of have full control. But I'm always struggling to make Wolverine work. Like, I shouldn't have to work that hard just to kill, like, Iron Fist. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is fucking Logan. And this really isn't a criticism on his design or his balancing, but just kind of an observation. I think part of the reason people aren't jiving with Wolverine right away is because his kit doesn't fulfill the power fantasy in the same way that other characters do. Wolverine is rage incarnate. He is indestructible. He is an absolute manimal. And when you are ripping apart a squirrel girl in the back line and she's just kind of walking it off, it doesn't make sense to me. The decision to make his attacks a percentage of health is very, very interesting, and I think it's incredibly flavorful that Logan is the one that you send after Magneto when he's causing a problem. But at this point in the game, if we're not talking about Magneto or Strange, there really isn't a need to have a hero that specializes in killing tanks. I kind of don't care what Venom's doing. Thor can just go fuck off. Who cares? spoilers. The problem he is designed to fix is not that big of a deal. Wolvie will definitely have his time in the spotlight, and he's got some epic skins too. He's a great character. I like playing him, but frankly, there's just a ton of better DPS in the game that outranks him.
The moon haunts you!
Moon Knight's rad. He also has some of the funniest lines and character quips of any character in this game. He's really a joy to play. Here's my deal with Moon Knight though. His entire kit really revolves around hitting that Ankh and being able to ricochet people down. When Moon Knight hits, it is absolutely devastating. But people are getting more and more familiar with his bullshit, and they're shooting the Ankh right away. I think Moon Knight is a character that is just going to slowly fall out of favor as people learn to shoot the Ankh. Full stop. Then there'll be a period where he's not in the meta and people forget about the Ankh, and then he'll come back and be really strong. I think his ultimate's kind of okay. It fires really quickly, but he telegraphs it too. When you see a Moon Knight running around with his arm cocked back, you're like, okay, cool, I'll get off the point. Fine, you're gonna clear the cart for like 2 seconds.
Maximum pulse!
Iron Man on his own kind of struggles, but when you team him up with Hulk, he's incredible. I really struggled ranking Iron Man because I feel like he's so easily counterable. Basically just pick a hit scan character. He thrives in an environment where your team is hard rolling. If your team's already good, Iron Man is a great complement to that because he can come in and do a bunch of damage and beam people and escape and kind of do Iron Man stuff. But if your team's really weak and they're going really slowly, then the enemies have too many opportunities to just nullify your shit. His ultimate's excellent though. It's awesome. If the enemies aren't kind of distracted by the battle, Iron Man really struggles. There's just too many opportunities to shoot him. You're also really difficult to heal, and a lot of the healers just forget that you're up there. And there's kind of an action reaction thing that goes on with Iron Man. If you're not doing well, okay, cool, people will leave you alone. If you drop a couple epic ultimates, suddenly people are going to prioritize you and just fucking ground you constantly. So there's this like weird hard cap as to how well you can perform as Iron Man, because once you become a priority to the enemies, there's a lot of tools to knock you out of the sky. He's very accessible. There's a low barrier to entry to be able to play Iron Man, but there is a potentially very high skill ceiling. So that's really fun. I love when a character can be mastered. But I'll tell you what, there's rarely a master Iron Man on any of my teams. I have no idea what they're actually up there doing.
Armed and dangerous!
Bucky is a pub stomper. He's got a really synergistic kit, and 1v1ing a Winter Soldier is a fucking problem. If they're really good, they're gonna stun you, uppercut you into the air, and headshot you. You're gonna feel like you had no chance in that fight whatsoever. Being able to string together multiple ultimates is insane. That is such brilliant design, and it is so satisfying when you can pull it off. I never played Cassidy in Overwatch, but I do play Winter Soldier because he's just so fun and engaging. When you get a pick, you feel like a beast. He kind of shares the same kind of issue with Iron Man. When Winter Soldier starts popping off, he just becomes a priority and people are going to melt him really quickly. There's a lot of CC, you're going to get slept, you're going to get frozen. And it's really not uncommon to start off a game with Winter Soldier, do really well, and then end the game with a really modest or mediocre stat line because people figured out your bullshit and shut you down.
This is real firepower!
Rocket is really fun. He's a nice addition to every team comp. His weapons are trash, but he's also super survivable, kind of like Jeff. His little tennis ball healing is really unique and interesting as well. I love it. His ultimate, which gives everybody a damage buff, can also literally win games. That is huge. That is massive impact. So be nice to your Rocket Raccoons. Even if they don't look like they're doing much in terms of stat line, they're bringing value to the team, and they're good team-centric people. Also, the team up with Punisher and Winter Soldier is elite. If you can get that combo rolling, like Rocket's obvious god tier. I can't lie. Fishman slaps. His little Squidbilly turrets are hilarious. His kit revolves around skill shots, which means most of the time your teammates are going to be a bad Namor. But the turrets are pretty fantastic. Like, you kill Spider-Man just for free. People are kind of down on his ultimate, but if you think about it, not as a mechanism for getting eliminations, but as a big team CC, it's actually pretty darn good and impactful. He's fun, he's engaging, he's fishy. When you're doing a tier list like this, of course, it's primarily about how much fun you have playing them. But I'm also kind of trying to factor in how much of a pain in the ass it is to go against a good version of that character. And Namor ranks really highly in that regard. A great Namor is so annoying. He is so fucking annoying. If he's not headshotting you, if he's not hitting you in big clusters, if he's not CCing you into the dirt, then you got to deal with his little fucking bullshit turret. And he even gets an extra turret when teamed up with Luna, who's a meta pick, so Luna's probably in the game. 9 times out of 10, somebody's playing Luna. I think he gets slept on a lot too because he's not like a name brand hero. You know what I'm saying? You have all of these like legendary iconic heroes, then you have Walmart brand Aquaman.
Us against the world.
Cloak and Dagger is such an interesting character. For one, before we even get into the kit, I just want to compliment the design of Cloak and Dagger. Having two characters who have complementary abilities and you're toggling between them constantly, that is a very difficult thing to pull off. Feels really natural, it feels really fluid, and very satisfying as well. Let's be transparent, this character has a very, very low skill ceiling. Like, her healing is basically an auto attack, and then we have a Symmetra beam for Dagger that melts people down. Neither one are particularly fantastic. You can do more damage with another character. You can have better heals if you're picking Mantis and Luna and you're hitting the shot. But when you sandwich them together into one character, it is a powerful combination that can impact the flow of the game in multiple ways. Also, I mean, their design is just really cool and floaty. It feels really good to be Cloak as well. Like, he is so dope. And this character has some of the best utility. It is so incredibly disorienting when you get caught in Cloak's shadow bubble. Oh, people just run around like shooting like crazy because they don't know what to do. In any other game, they would be a top tier support, but unfortunately they're just better healers, which is insane to even think about. This game is so stacked in terms of fantastic characters, but Cloak and Dagger is a great pick for literally any situation.
Fear Magneto!
Look, I know he's strong, I just don't get it. He fucking annoys me. Okay, Magneto annoys me. He's an incredible tank. He owns the flow of the game. I just don't want to play him. But charging up his ult and just dropping it on someone's forehead is very satisfying. His shield, although it's on a cooldown, it's completely impenetrable. It can block basically anything in the game. I think my core issue with Magneto is that his primary fire, although it's reasonably powerful, it has a limited range and it just breaks my brain. I just want to hit people. You give me this like little rinky-dinky attack. Oh, it annoys me so much. I had to rank him high just because of how good he is. This one's the bittersweet one where I'm like, I'd love to put you low. I just can't. You're just too fucking good. I hate playing against you. I hate playing the character. I just hate everything about Magneto.
Born again!
Bro, I barely need to talk about Adam Warlock. They brought back Mercy's team res from old Overwatch. Do you need to know anything else? His heals are fantastic. His attacks are pretty lethal. You gotta respect an Adam Warlock, and he's got a fantastic team up with Star-Lord that allows him to just res constantly. If you see Warlock, you should try to kill Warlock. It will improve your team's chances of winning if Warlock is fucking dead. Outstanding damage, fantastic mobility, good survivability, a melty auto-aim ultimate that can easily team wipe. Star-Lord is arguably elite. I think he does take a little bit of practice to get going. He's got a ton of invincibility frames too, which make him so fucking annoying. I will say he is also kind of a meme. Because he does require a little bit of effort to get good at, I've seen so many low elo Star-Lords just absolutely shit the bed and lose your comp matches because they're trash. It's totally feast or famine. When you see your teammate insta-lock Star-Lord, you know he's either A, really good, or B, you are about to D-rank. I debated putting Star-Lord in the top tier. He just couldn't quite make it there. And it's not that he isn't amazing. It's that everyone in this next tier is just elite. They are the masters of the Mystic meta.
By the eye of Agamotto!
So the first character we're going to talk about in our top tier is Doctor Strange. I'm just not a tank player, man. Doctor Strange completely dictates the flow of the battle. He's got an epic shield that has 800 HP. He also has portals. He has all of the most powerful shit in the game. His ultimate's also really good. At worst, it's an AoE stun. If your team's pretty good and they capitalize on it, it could be a total team wipe. I just don't like tanks, personally. I'm not a tank guy. I had to put him here in top tier because of how much impact he has on the game, but not for me. I don't want to play that role at all, really. It would be a total mistake. It would be disinformation if I didn't tell you how good he was and rank him really highly. I just think he's kind of fucking boring. She is probably my favorite character in the game. Staggering amounts of damage and gets in people's faces and then can just disappear. Oh, I love her playstyle. I do disagree with the common sentiment though. Like, I put enough hours into Psylocke. People think that her ultimate is really good. It's not. It's the kind of ultimate that you charge up really quickly and you use as soon as you get it. The area of effect is rather large and you're probably going to get a kill or two, but it's not like this kind of ultimate that you want to sit on and win the game with it. It does consistent damage and it'll make people back up. Good ultimate to kind kind of panic pop when you're losing a duel. It's so frustrating to be fighting a Psylocke and then suddenly she just turns into a butterfly and slits your throat. I absolutely adore this character. I love everything about her design. I also grew up as a Psylocke fan when I was a kid. Like, she was just a totally badass character in the comic. So take my opinion with a grain of salt. I am totally biased, but I think she's absolutely badass and she makes a valuable contribution to every team composition. But before we wrap her up, I want to give you one PSA. Psylocke has deceptively long range. She is actually really good at dealing with Iron Man. So if you're a Psylocke player, look up and shoot Iron Man. You can harass the shit out of him.
Woo! I never miss.
Oh, Clint is so good. He's so good. He's like banned in high elo constantly. Just click heads. That's all you gotta do. His kit is super simple. He is the character for all of you Hanzo mains out there. Going up against a good Hawkeye just feels oppressive. Unlike Black Widow, Hawkeye is a one-shot headshot. If you had one character to master, this would be a good choice, although you're probably just going to get banned once you start ranking up because people just don't want to deal with that shit. And his ultimate is like easy mode sniping. One of the top tier DPS in the game. When you master Hawkeye, he is straight up a hard carry, but even a bad Hawkeye is going to get a lot of potentially very valuable picks. If you're playing a dive character, please kill the Hawkeye. Let Luna live for a minute and just kill the Hawkeye. Everything is much easier in life when Hawkeye is in the spawn room.
Judge, jury, executioner!
There is nothing fancy about the Punisher. He's just your average Soldier 76 / Call of Duty character. Just potentially my main character. I'm thinking about manning Punisher just because he's incredibly consistent. He's got a fantastic ultimate where he jumps into a mech suit with dueling machine guns and just mows everyone down. He's got a zip line which makes him deceptively mobile. The Punisher is a bedrock character that will always get value. Kind of like Star-Lord though. Every time I see a Punisher in my lobby and I'm not playing the character, it's 50-50. Are they going to be good or are they going to be dog water? A lot of times people just pick that character because they're learning how to play Marvel Rivals or they're learning how to play a hero shooter for the first time. Punisher's either going to rip or he's going to be the worst player in the room. There's like no in between. I love him. He's got cool cosmetics. He's got a cool attitude to him. He's a little, I don't know. I wish he was just a little bit more fantastical. Like there's so much style in this game and he's just like angry military guy. Get into the middle of the fight, inflict a ton of damage, kill everybody you see kind of character. The Punisher is actually pretty awesome. I love him a lot. I just wish he was more interesting in terms of his kit and in terms of his characterization.
Hell unleashed!
Who would have thought Hela, of all people, would be such a menace? She's a better sniper than Black Widow. Third time I'm throwing shade on Black Widow, but she deserves it. That character's trash. But I mean, Hela's the total package. She does tons of damage. She has high escapability. Honestly, if I'm being real, she's probably like a little overtuned. She is getting a seasonal buff. Maybe Hela knocks down a few notches when she loses her 20% buff. We'll see. When she hits the battlefield, you must delete her. You are not going to win the team fight if Hela's fucking around and headshotting everybody. You've got to get her out of the game. Easily top 3.
We are undefeatable!
As a big Guardians fan, it warms my heart that Mantis is so strong in this game. Outstanding healing. Even though she's a support, she's like one of the best DPS. Her ultimate is game-changing. It's life-saving. She will win you the game just by standing on the point and popping her ult. A good Mantis player is just boosting themselves constantly, hitting consistent shots, and keeping all of the teammates' health topped off. If the enemy Mantis is talented, you are going to have a very difficult game if you don't find some way to knock her out. Dealing with her is the reason dive comp exists, basically. Honestly, I think Venom is pretty trash. If the Venom player is doing nothing but consistently diving Mantis and keeping her occupied, that is a huge asset and a huge contribution to the team. Unlike other games where being a healer is kind of boring, in Marvel, it's actually really fun. You're hustling. Mantis games are so chaotic where you're just constantly flinging around heals and trying to get headshots and running around and darting around the battle. It is so much fun, and I totally understand why there's so many Mantises on the battlefield all the time, because she's just a blast to play. But Mantis is number 2 on my list today. There can only be one pop star.
I am ready to put on a show!
Come on, you knew it was going to be Luna. This character is outrageous. She does an insane amount of healing. She can headshot the shit out of everybody. She's super duper lethal. There have been multiple games where I had literally the most damage on the team as the support player. And her ultimate, number one, it's iconic. People are making tons and tons and tons of memes about it. And she can just shut the game down. Like, nobody can play the game for 12 whole seconds when Luna pops her ult. It's amazing. This is audacious game design. To make a healer this powerful takes guts. Like, this is a choice. This is a deliberate decision to make the support role engaging, impactful, fun to play. And that's why Marvel is such a great game. It's things like this that your healers are literally some of the most fun characters. Hero shooters are back and better than ever thanks to Marvel Rivals. This is such an epic game. It was a stale genre for a lot of years, courtesy of Overwatch basically abandoning its game. I'm not being paid or anything, but if you haven't played it, give it a shot. I know I'm talking to a lot of Fallout fans at the moment who maybe won't get in on a competitive shooter, but this is shockingly good and surprisingly addictive. It's casual with tons and tons of room to master it. I highly encourage you to try out Marvel Rivals. It's a special game. But that's it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your viewership and your support. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again really soon.